should be live on air. Hi, Dan. How are you?
Hello, mate. I'm good. You all right?
Yes, very well indeed. Thank you for your time today. So yeah, what I want to do today is just find out about your experience at Control It or whatever. But just for the record, you don't know what I'm going to ask, and I obviously don't know what you're going to ask us. So who knows what will happen?
All a
Um,
mystery.
you're all going to be a mystery. What I thought I'd do then is just kick off. Do you want to just explain who you are, who Gaff you are, and sort of what you guys do and get up to?
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, my name's Dan. I'm a filmmaker. I've been self-employed since 2015. And it wasn't until sort of, I don't know, about a year ago, really, after meeting, over the years, a really strong network of other filmmakers, that there was a group of five of us that decided that actually we were working together quite a lot. And we're really starting to push into some work that we're really excited about. And we wanted to basically band together, put a brand on that. We call it a film collective.
Right.
And it's something that we now starting to push certain types of work towards. So if there is a job that needs multiple people, bigger crew, is something that kind of falls within the niches that we've been doing a lot of work within together, then we'll kind of push that work under Gaff, which is the name of this new film collective that we've
Studio, yeah.
started. And yeah, it's been really exciting, and it's been an opportunity to kind of have a bit of a fresh start and a fresh perspective on things. And we've been up to some really exciting stuff over the last year. And since sort of making it a bit more of an official thing, it's only kind of grown from there, really.
Yeah, and I'm blown away by the types of stuff that you guys do. It feels like a proper little family setup thing you got there. So just want to touch on some of maybe the videography you do, because the show reel is pretty awesome actually. I've seen it many times. What sort of types of videos do you guys do?
Well, it was at the start of maybe last year. Yeah, start of last year, when we kind of made the collective decision that one area that we really wanted to push into was the travel sector. We all love traveling. There's something about the kind of run and gun style, which when I say run and gun, it's like you've got the camera in your hand and you're shooting what's in front of you, and you're kind of on a mission to kind of get the best light. And it's an adventure as well in itself. Like the film that you're making is a bit of an adventure, and we all love that style of filmmaking. We love traveling. We're like, we want to do more of this kind of work. And so we made this kind of conscious decision of like, let's push for that. And so that is something that we've been really lucky to capture some really good clients within that area. We do a lot of work with a brand called Sunsail, which are like a yacht hire and yacht charter company.
Yeah.
We've had the privilege of going over to Montgenèvre in the Alps to film some skiing. We've done some work with Travel Republic, who are a holiday company that taken us to Mallorca and Dubai. And yeah, it's kind of snowballing really. And we just want to do more and more of it. But as well as that, we get to work with some big commercial clients as well. We've done some stuff with Mazda recently, which has been really fun. All sorts. A lot of big commercial work and a lot of travel work. We also do a lot of live music production as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So we do quite a lot of work with Coco and Camden. We record a lot of their live shows, sort of once every month, once every other month. So yeah, it's diverse.
Yeah, absolutely. So
client. Yeah.
So yeah, pretty eclectic, pretty good mix of it. But yeah, there is definitely a focus. We'll probably come to that because that's a key part of the website. So let's talk about websites then. So what was your world like? So fine, you're live on the website. You've got some digital marketing services. That's all really good. But take me back then to the time before that. What type of website did you have? How was it working for you? And so what needed changing?
Yeah. So I've always basically built websites myself through things like Squarespace or WordPress. And to be honest, like a lot of, especially within filmmaking and photography, you'll notice that pretty much all the websites that you'll come across are basically like a big portfolio piece, a big show reel, essentially. Lots of video. And yeah, I did something very similar with the Gaff site, which originally I'd created myself. And yeah, the tricky thing that I found and have always found when you're creating a website like that, when you've got a lot of images, a lot of video, it's very, especially if you're not, a web designer, there's a lot of things that then can go wrong with that, especially in terms of like size of images, size and length of videos, indexing and making sure that the metadata on those images and videos is right, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And yeah, to tell you the truth, we just had, basically zero traffic unless it was we were directing people directly to that.
Sure.
So we had,
yeah.
And that was only through a referral. So we'd get a referral from a client that we were already working with, and we would then push that referral to the website. So there wasn't any sort of organic traffic that was, being able to find the website. So that was the thing that I wanted to conquer. And that was what I wanted to solve.
That's not an uncommon situation to be in. I'm going to, because you've got a new website, I'm going to tell you what I really think about the old website. It was a classic, what we call front cover website. The homepage looked quite pretty because it had a nice little video on it, but there's no substance to it. So, and I had a look back in the records, and of course, it's not that long ago. You've been live and stuff, but you came through a very common channel for us, which was our website MOT service, wasn't it? So I remember sitting in the ballroom with you going, we spent a number of hours looking at usability, what Google think of you, and some technical faults. There was a bucket load of technical faults, which you can't see and you never know. And of course, yes, it didn't have that much traffic, but if you look at it for 30 seconds, it looks like a nice website, wasn't it? But it was, it just, so we spent quite a bit of time, didn't we, going through who are your customers, who are there, where should we target, and what is the likely usability. Obviously, most people playing around your website on mobile or starting their journey on mobile, or whatever. So that had to be nailed correctly. So yeah, we did an MOT. You got a bad homework report, didn't you, on the MOT?
Did you say it was the worst one you'd ever seen?
I didn't want to say that on camera. It was the authority score, which marks out of 100 from Google, was technically the worst one I'd seen.
So what's really interesting there, though, is using something like Squarespace, you piece this thing together that looks great, and you expect as a user of something like that, and this is what my expectation would have been, that all of that back end stuff, the technical things that I don't know anything about, that's what they take care of. You assume that they're going to be able to handle the things like, all of this stuff with Google or whatever, to make sure that it, ranks well. Like I'm just building the thing. I'm making sure that it looks good. That's your job. Do you know what I mean?
But it's a very visual thing, and of course, without going into too much detail, it's a very common thing. Most customers that don't know anything about websites just get obsessed about how it looks. And you can have the best looking house in the world, but if no one knows where you live, it's a bit of a waste of money. So, and these smaller, sometimes WordPress, but Squarespace and Weebly and all that sort of stuff, they tend to have bloated code in the back end, so it's slow and clunky and whatever. And of course, you often need a third party to sit down and talk to you about your customers, so you can see your business from the outside in rather than the inside out, which is a very common problem where you say, "Oh, I know what I do," and so we went through a journey there. So talk to me about then your journey from your bad MOT report through to the work that we did behind the scenes to create it. Is there any big reason or top 3 reasons why you chose Control over us, and then how was that sort of onboarding process?
Yeah, I think it was from the initial discussions we had. What I really liked, actually, the best thing that I found that we did together was we started then looking at, competitors, other sites out there that were in the same field, and measuring the kind of the Google authority scores and the stuff that you talked about, the technical side of things. We started looking at how other websites performing, and we found the best websites, not only that were doing that right, but also looked good. And then we go, okay, well, these these are the ones that are doing it right. And to be honest, what was really encouraging is that there really wasn't that many.
Yeah,
When
that was
you start to look at
yeah.
your competitors, and you realize that actually a good functioning website that also looks good and is still has a creative vibe to it, I think we found probably 3 out of an extensive search that really was doing that. So that made me think, okay, well, if you guys can handle that technical side of things, and if I can give you the right inspiration in terms of, what it needs to look like and the kind of information that needs to be on there, then I think, we're on to a winner. So yeah, having done that research, finding those people that were doing it right, and then realizing what we needed to do it right, I was really encouraged, moving forward, that you guys were the right team to take it forward.
Yeah, that was good.
And ultimately, working with Dan, your designer, and seeing the first designs come through after we'd had our chat about the branding, color palette, and all of that kind of stuff, and seeing that first design come through, that's when I was really excited, because then it's like, okay, they get it. Like, they actually
Cool.
they totally get the brief. Like, it's it totally says exactly who we are as as a brand, that we are creatives, and that we're hopefully a fun group of people to work with as well. It has that whole vibe to it.
Yeah,
And
it's going to sound a bit fluffy, really, but to try and get your company and your personality through, there was quite a lot. And I remember, and this is what we do with pretty much every customer is, yes, we've done all the research. That's probably something that we do that's a little bit different than others. Competitor analysis, persona work, but although you really knew who your customer was, so that really helped. We spent several hours in the design kickoff meeting with yourself and, as I said, our senior designer Dan and you, to try and get that sense. And then and when the first draft comes to you, you're like, you get the essence of it, because we wanted it busy. I mean, let's have a little play. If I can share my screen, it won't mean too much to most people that are watching, but hopefully that loads up okay. So it needed to be interactive, it needed to have movement, it needed to be engaging, but it didn't need to be too busy, because some of your other competitors had sites where you get worn out just scrolling, don't you? And fine, this is okay, we're scrolling through the homepage, fine, but that's not a website, is it? Because we spent a fair bit of time, and some of the features we put on there were I know you haven't filled it out completely, have you? But we've got your portfolios, so we've got like a showcase of your work as well. That's in categories and things like that. So, and the whole point of this is a module that we created that it doesn't exist. Part of our design kickoff was to get the essence from you, what you wanted to say, what you wanted to do. And then going forward, this is going to be your best friend. This is one of the things that you can add regular content to it, and it's going to work really well, isn't it? So, so here we go. Here's a good example of that under the travel sector. Yeah, I
was just going to say that, and that's worth mentioning in terms of the editability of the site. The fact that we went through a dashboard that you'd created personally for me. The other day in the back end, and how easy it is now that every main function that I'll ever need to do on that site, in terms of adding a new showcase, adding a blog, and seeing the the traffic and users, is literally there on one page.
Yeah,
it's so easy to add content. It's idiot proof. And I'm not going to break anything. Like, there was one site, not for Gaff, but a previous site I had on WordPress, where you've constantly got to keep doing updates and things, and sometimes just making the smallest change, and then you save it, and you're like, oh, well, now the whole site's broken. Cool.
We basically, any change that you ever make is saved as a version, so it's basically having a massive undo button in your life, which is quite a bit. And here I'm showing now the admin panel, so we got some stats on on the back end that are pulled from Google, top landing pages, users of the month. That's already changed in the last couple of weeks, actually, because it was all relatively flat. Now, this has literally only just gone live, isn't it, in the last month or so? Your blog post and your showcase of the things that you're going to be updating. But of course, along with the website, you commissioned our digital marketing department. So you're working with Stephanie from the SEO team, essentially. So we're going to be doing all the googly bits, SEO bits, helping you create the content as well and optimizing it all. So it's early stages, isn't it? So I can't really ask you how well it's gone so far, but I suppose you've had your first month's report and you've had your first meeting with Stephanie, and you can already see the sessions going up and up and up and up and climbing. So more eyeballs are going on it, which is the first first thing to do. Yeah, cool. Okay, so so that was your experience. Is there let's not waffle on for too long. If there's anybody else, I mean, there's lots of people in your situation where, do you know what, when the business was first start, having a fancy pants website may not be the right thing for them at the time, right? But once your business has grown, you realize. Is there anything about your previous experience with the DIY websites you did versus where you are now? Any sort of tips for anybody that might be watching it in the same sort of boat as you as a small business?
So I think the biggest lesson that I've learned from doing this whole process is that the more content you have on the site, and when I say content, not just in terms of photos and videos like we talked about earlier, but also in terms of what you're saying to your viewer, the person that's found your site, and the information that they need, the frequently asked questions that they're going to have, having to think about all of those aspects so that they're not just landing on a site and it's going to leave them asking more questions than when they arrived. You're trying to answer as many of those questions as possible. So that, I think, was something that really opened my eyes in terms of the kind of stuff that we're going to need on the site. But because of that, obviously there's a lot of content that needs to then go into that site. So from somebody who is looking to do a site like this, that's something that you'll have to think about, with Rich and the team, is what is that content, and then making sure that you're aware that the time scale to then be able to build out that content and get it right is going to take some time. But now looking at it and seeing all of the stuff that's on there and the amount of information that's on there, it's amazing, and I think it's going to prove incredibly useful to not only us but also the people that are landing on the page, hopefully being able to answer any questions that they have, and I think it adds just a layer of professionalism as well, that it just you know your stuff, like you're trying to cover everything. Do you know what I mean? But again, without trying to waffle, I just think it's making sure that you have an understanding of how much content's potentially going to need to go into site, the time that can take. But I think you guys were great at assisting with that, making me aware of what that content needs to be in terms of the type of information, and then helping edit and refine it. Do you know what I mean?
You nail on the head. It's one of the most underestimated sections. I mean, as a project's got quite a lot of stages to it. What you say on your website and how you say it, and we're involved in where it goes from the usability and that sort of stuff, but that is always underestimated by most customers. They don't quite realize, because they think maybe it's the homepage that everybody lands on, and it's not. If you are targeting travel customers, they're going to have 101 travel related questions. What can you go? What about these countries? What about that? What about snow versus ocean versus this versus that? They've got 101 questions. If you can answer those questions in a blog article, in a showcase, in a FAQs page, and redirect it, you're probably going to be one of the people that they inquire about. And that, it seems really simple we've been saying this for 20 years, but it's a concept that's relatively new for newcomers. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Cool. Okay. Look. Thanks for your time. Let's cut the waffling now. Just under half an hour worth of waffling. Thanks again for your time. I know your time is really, really precious. So, and of course, you're always evolving your website. Just couple of weeks ago, you gave us a list of sort of minor things to tweak on the mobile, so we're getting those all finely tuned. But good stuff. Thank you for your support. Is there anything else you want to add to before you go?
Well, just a quick thank you. Like, honestly, it's been a really great experience, Rich, and honestly, like, you and the team have done an absolute cracking job. And you know, you've said already a couple of times that this is only the beginning in terms of, you know, what we're going to be able to continue to do with the site. And I think that's what's really exciting as well, is that it's not just there's your site. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoy it. It serves you well. It's actually, you know, you guys are continuing to put in a lot of hard work and effort to not only make a beautiful site, but actually, you know, the reason why it's created is to bring in new customers, and that's what, you know, the work shifts towards now. And so really excited to see that evolve now and flourish. So yeah, thank you, and mate, I really appreciate all the work you've put in.
No worries. I look forward to coming out to Dubai with you on your next shoot. Spare seat on the plane for me. Cool. Thanks, Dan. We'll leave it there. Good on you, mate. Cheers. Bye.
Cheers, bud.